Africans are most people that are bearing the brunt of all this, instability, all these wars, conflicts going on in the world, whether they are happening on our continent or outside our continent. Africans are the one. Let me explain to you. Like, if you're an African in the diaspora, like many of us are going through, like for example the war that is happening between Russia and Ukraine. You see, Africans anywhere we are in the world, we're just like the one going through a lot of all those things. Like, we are the one at the bottom line of the hierarchy. You see, we are like the ones at the bottom line of the hierarchy. And then you see these other ones. Okay, look, for example, the war that is going on between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, now when Russia invaded Ukraine, and then of course the first people that were victims, like Ukrainians, then the people living in Ukraine, most Africans and other international students, right, or people working there and all that. Now what you see is, like, when many people moved out of Ukraine, of course the first problem is, like, people had to leave their property, they had to leave everything and all that, and then they moved into to other European countries and all that. Now imagine Africans living in Europe, in other European countries. Now they increase the tariff, increase their the taxes, there's so many things. There was inflation all over Europe because people were paying for the unnecessary war, which was caused by the West. You see, they caused the war. They say Russia is the aggressor, but we know that the West was the cause of the war. All right, now they caused the war, and then now it's ordinary citizens that are paying for the war through the inflation, through the taxes. They increase the taxes, they increase the tariff, the electricity gone up, so many things went up after the war, which was like, paying, because government had to gain more money from the from the masses. And that was how they did. And then guess what happened with the Africans living in these countries? They have to be the one that will pay, because through their jobs and all that. Other people were paying, of course. Every citizen has to pay increased tax, increased tariff and all that. But when you look at Africans, for example, because of the kind of jobs that many of us are doing in all these countries, like, we're doing more work, more hard labor, doing all these cleaning jobs, doing all these other jobs, caring jobs and all that. So they do more hard labor without any increase in salary, and they are paying more taxes. And then on top of that, with the demand from home, financial demand from home. So you see that there's more problems for Africans living in all these countries, because the inflation is like all over the world now, especially in Africa. So there's increase in all these grains that they import from Russia and Ukraine, and also the increase in fuel prices. The petroleum price increased and all that. So the inflation now is increasing financial demand on Africans living in all these European countries, and so they are spending more money, sending more money home. So that is causing even more economic and financial instability among the Africans. So you see that eventually we are the one bearing the brunt. The Europeans that are here, the ones that are living here, of course, if they don't have family back home or whatever, or wherever they are sending money to, even if they are paying more taxes, they're still going to keep the rest of the money with them. But Africans now, the ones that are working hard labor here, they are sending more money back home, in which case they have less to even keep for themselves or save. You see, so eventually you see that, plus or minus, Africans are the one bearing the brunt of most of all this crisis going on in the world. You see, so go back home now, go to Africa now. You see, it's the same problem. In fact, it's even worse. Like, if you are going through 10% here, you're going through like 90% back home, because there are no even things working back, there. Like, inflation is like on the rise, like how many percent? Like very high. And then instability, insecurity, problems here and there, like crisis up and down. So we are the ones bearing the brunt of all these problems, of all these crises. So we just have to face all these things head on. We have to solve these problems head on. Like, we can't joke around. We can't just, I see like some of our people like just busy with doing some other things, like on the social media, on the platform, you're using technology, you're using all this social media to just be doing things that are inconsequential. Like, what value is that going to add to your life? Apart from the whatever, I don't know, whether they're doing it for pleasure or they want to use it to make money. the money that you're gonna use it to make now, that eventually they're gonna take from you. You see, I'm not saying like if you can make money, yeah, make money, but then we also need to prioritize important things of our lives. We need to prioritize important things of our life. Like, we need to know our priorities, because it's like you solve this problem and you've solved most of your problems. You see, if there are like many things that you need to do, look for one thing that when you do that thing, it's going to affect many other things. You see, that's how to like really be smart with doing things, like using that what they call it, that Pareto principle, like 80-20%, you know, 80-20 rule, right? Like when you do 20% of what will give you 80% of results. Exactly. So this is very, very important for us, like very, very important. We have to face this head on. And that means what? It means like we clamping down on what is causing the major crisis, the major problem on our continent. What is the cause? What is the cause? You know, like scientifically solving our problem. Like what exactly? This is what we've been shouting about, what we've been talking about for this all this while. Like that's the bottom line. That's what we're talking about. So honestly, I mean, there are no other things we're talking about. It's basically this thing we're talking about. Like basically looking at, okay, what exactly is the cause of our problem, and facing the cause of the problem and solving the thing. Exactly. So, and we say, okay, analyzing what has happened in Africa, like what has happened to us and what is still happening. Like, we know the cause of the problem we have in Africa. There's no need to sugarcoat it or put it, you know, like, oh, okay, let's try to code it anyhow. We know it is the hand of the West in Africa that are causing more problems for us, more chaos for us, because they have used political leaders to be their puppets. So, and everything in Africa boils down to political leadership, not even religious leadership. Yeah, the religious leaders, they have their own thing, but I tell you that the political leaders or the political leadership is the most important thing, is the most consequential leadership. So which means that we need to clamp down on that. So what is giving us the crisis with the political leadership? Where is the problem coming from? Because the West is the one dealing or handling our political leadership. We don't have any political leadership in Africa, which is like affecting most of everything that is happening in Africa. Like, we don't need to solve the symptoms. We need to go to the cause of the symptoms. So when we talk about the insecurity, we talk about the food crisis, we talk about unemployment, we talk about economic crisis, we talk about health crisis. Look at all these political leaders in Africa. Many of them are going abroad to go and take treatment. Can you imagine that? You have a country, you are not making your country work, and you are not even ashamed of yourself. You're still going outside your country to go and take health treatment, to go and take medical treatment. How stupid is that? And they are still both doing those things. They are still they're still confident. They will still take their private jets, go abroad, go and be taking medical treatments. How many of these countries that you're going to? How many of the presidents have come to Africa to say they want to come and take treatment? Are you not even ashamed of yourselves? But these guys, is what they do every time, and then we are just there comfortable with what they're doing. You know how much they're spending, you know, paying for all these private jets, like how much the government is spending on all these foreign trips. They go for medical trips, they go for tourism, they go for conference, they go for this, they go for that. They're spending money, squandering resources, and then we're just there, just watching them like, oh, everything is okay, or let's leave them alone, whatever. Like, no, we can't do that. We cannot do that. We just need to take the bull by the horn. Like, there are external forces controlling our system, controlling our leadership, controlling our politics, and that's what we must face head on. That's what we must face head on. We must deal with these demons. I said we must deal with these demons. I said take power off their hands. Let's take the power off their hands. That's why I keep telling my Africans that we are not powerless. We are not powerless. We are not hopeless. We are not helpless. We can deal with these demons up front. We can deal with them. Take the power of their hands. Let's put our attention into this. That is extremely important for us. That's how we're saying. That's how we're doing. Let's take power from these demons. They are the one controlling us. Yes, So but they will use the hands of our political leaders and say, oh, can't you see that it's your politicians that are doing the problem? Can't you see that? But they are the one behind the scene. They are the one running the show behind. You see, because they don't want us to see them, that they are the one doing it. But I tell you that when we deal with these ones, you see what is going to happen in Africa. We will discuss after we deal with them what is going to happen. I tell you this because it will be so evident to everybody like, yeah, these demons are the ones running the show in Africa. They are the ones controlling us. The other time you hear that one in Europe, one of them was saying that we need to get hold of Africans. Like we need to make sure they are not free. They don't get freedom from us because we know they cannot handle their country by themselves. They cannot handle their resources. They cannot handle things by themselves. So we need to control them. We need to lead them. We need to. I was hearing that. I was like, what a madness! This guy's supposed to be in jail, and then you see they're saying with all confidence and everything, like, you know. But who is gonna deal with him? We was just talking. That's how they talk about Africans. Like people who have no sense, who have no brains. Like we just like babies, you know, like a puppet. So you can just tell what to do, where to go, and all that. And we cannot just sit down there and be watching them doing all of these things to us. Like I've always been saying it, we are not powerless, we are not hopeless, we are not helpless. We can undo things by ourselves. And I tell you this, and that is engaging the power of our words, that we must always engage the power of our words to bring change in our continent. We must always speak against the evil and wickedness going on our continent. That Africa is on its path of progress and development, and nothing can stop us and nothing must stop us. Let's all put our attention to this. I say every African person on the planet Earth, whether you are on the continent or outside the continent, let's put our attention to this. That's all what my campaign is all about, at least for now. Let's start from this. This is our first priority. Let's clamp down on these demons. Let's break every demonic power that is holding Africa in captive. Let's clamp down on these demons. Let's take power off their hands. You see, that's what we need to do now. That's what we need to do now, because if we don't do that, we're not going to see any change at all. Any change come next 10 years. It's going to be the same story. Come 20 years, the same story. 100 years, the same story. I said these guys, they already have 100-year plan to keep colonizing Africa. And then there you are thinking of 2 years, you're thinking of 5 years. They already have 100-year plan. So if we don't clamp down on these demons, that's how the thing will continue. Like it will be the same story. They keep telling you, oh, let's do another election, let's do another election. You keep doing election, you think you're voting for the right leaders or whatever, but they are the one engineering everything. They are the one that are controlling your system, your economy, everything. You know, so let's clamp down on these demons. Let's take power of their hands. Use the power of your words, okay, to clamp down on these demons, and let's take the power of their hands. Like say, Africa is on its path of progress and development, and nothing can stop us, and nothing must stop us. So we must engage our power. We must put our attention to this. You must let it be in your mind all the time. Even when you go to work, when you do anything, you must let this be in your mind all the time. You must let it be in your mind, because once you focus your mind on these, then you begin to speak that word, begin to speak the word of power that is going to bring the change that we need on our continent. That's what we need to do, my fellow Africans, black people, like all over the world, anywhere you are, it doesn't matter. Like that's what we can do. And you begin to see things changing for us for good. Like you will be shocked. I tell you this, my fellow Africans. This is something I've thought about through like many times. Like you think about it. That's what we need to do. Really. Like you don't even need to like do a lot of physical fighting now. We don't need to do that. All we need to do now is like let's speak the word of power and stop the evil and wickedness these guys are doing on our continent. And let's take the power off their hands. You see, and then from there we now deal with the ones at home, with those politicians that become agents of darkness. We now deal with those ones. You see, but before then, let's treat the cause. Let's take the cause of our infection. What is causing the problem on our continent? Let's deal with the cause first, and then the symptoms will disappear. Right? All right, so that's all I got to share with you guys. So please do like and share this. Share this. Let's spread the word, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.